Good morning. We are talking about the feet and legs today because we're going to stack the skeleton from feet to head. We're going to look at where the weight should be and how these bones really should be for optimal alignment this week. Optimal, that's a new word. Optimal alignment. We have a problem in our country and sort of Western culture in general that people's feet have started to turn out. And that's because it gives you a wider base, so it seems like it's easier to balance that way. And it is to some degree, but you're also using less muscles. So then you actually start throwing your balance out of whack because you're not using the big muscles that you should be using to hold yourself up. I have not had my coffee this morning yet. The other problem is it starts to create knee and ankle and hip issues because if you walk with your feet turned out, your knees are still going to point forward. And how do I know that? Well, because nobody walks around like this unless they're on stage in a dance performance, right? You don't have your knees going out with your feet. Your knees have tracked forward, which means the shins have rotated out, the thighs have rotated back in to get your knee forward. Now we're pulling on a joint. So this is why it feels so strange when I ask you to make your feet parallel. Now, parallel isn't the inside edges of the feet parallel. And if I do that, you can see from the camera angle, it still looks a little turned out. It's the outside edges. From the camera angle, it looks like my toes are pointed straight forward. When I look down at my feet, they look turned in. They're not. The outside edges from your pinky toe to the outside edge of your heel. If you have wood floors, or like this rug has some stripes I can line up, my kitchen crappy linoleum has lines that I can line up on, I would actually put my pinky toe on a line and then just the outside edge of my heel. I have some padding that sticks out a little bit and I'm going to ignore that padding. It might go off the line. It's my pinky toe to the heel. And I do that with both feet and suddenly I feel turned in at the knees. Well, that's that shin is externally rotated, thigh internally rotated. I make the shin come forward and you really feel the thighs rotated. So then we take those thighs and we try and rotate at the top of the thighs to make the knees point forward, which pulls your weight more to the outer foot. It lifts your arch up. Those are the muscles that are supposed to be holding your arch up, not your arch supports, these muscles. And your toes should feel fairly light on the floor. If they don't, we'll talk about that more tomorrow. But today it's just getting those feet lined up straight ahead, which looks turned in from the aerial view, and then using those thigh muscles to rotate. So we got to get those feet straight ahead. One last thing, notice how wide my feet are. They're not necessarily as wide as my hips. They're also not close together angling in. I want the weight of my body to go straight down over my bones. So I'm going to find those bony points at the front of my pelvis. If you set your hands on your hips, usually you're right there, that part. And that's about how wide apart my feet should be. I probably could go a little wider. There we go. That's about how wide apart my feet should be. This is really countercultural, especially for women. Women have been taught to be here. But look at the angle that puts my legs at. That means the weight of my body is not coming straight down through my bones to create that bone density that I want. It's coming at an angle. It's pushing on my bones in funny ways. This is how we're supposed to stand. This is how we're built for optimal function. This is it. So work on outer edges of the feet parallel, and then use your thigh muscles to rotate these knees forward. You're going to feel your butt engage. Surprise, you're supposed to use it sometimes. And you're going to feel those feet shift. It's going to be a good thing. So as we stack the skeleton, start there. Do this all the time. You can do this while you're washing dishes, brushing your teeth, waiting in line. You can do this if you're sitting at your desk on a phone call. Stand up, do this. You'll be moving. You'll be moving more parts in more ways. All right, that's what I have for you today as we stack our skeletons this week.